I think most people are familiar with YouTube. YouTube is a content creation site, but these days I would say they were spending a lot of time there because there's a lot of content, number one. But the main problem I would say is YouTube is recommending us videos from content creators that we have not chosen to subscribe to. So we fall into this loophole of clicking on stuff that's interesting and the algorithm thinks we'll like, but we're wasting time if we're being completely honest. So the solution that I've been using is Newsboat or RSS feeds. There are multiple different RSS feed readers, but the one that I use and I think a lot more people should use is Newsboat. If you're into terminal programs and stuff like that. So, what is RSS feeds? According to Wikipedia, it allows users and applications to access updates to a website in a standardized computer-readable format. So it's kind of like the notification system a YouTube page has, where it shows you content from subscribers, from people that you subscribe to. But you only get this. So look, I've put in what's called my file where I write down the content creators that I want to see from. I even have these visual markings that aren't actual ones, they're just for visual. So let's see how this works. So what you're going to need to do is, it doesn't work out completely off the bat. You're going to need a config and URLs file. The URLs file is where you're writing down the content that you want to see. So you're going to want to have so there are two places. So what you're going to need to do is, let's go into my home directory. You need a folder called .newsboat. So I use Newsboat really often, and I edit the files kind of pretty often. So I like to keep it in the home directory. So if I do ls-a, I put it here. But if you don't want your home directory cluttered like mine, then you can put in your .config folder and put that .newsboat in there. Either way works fine. But what you're going to need to do in that .newsboat directory that you've created, you're going to need ignore these are generated by Newsboat. You're going to need a config file. This is basically where we can add, Newsboat is very extensible, so you can add programs to it in order for it to do more things. We'll get into that in a bit. But the main thing that we need to have, say we have the same setup that I have here, is a URLs file. So in our URLs file, this is where we keep all of our content in. So there's a special format that you need to write it in order for YouTube to give you your RSS feeds. So you're going to need to write https://www.youtube.com feeds.videos.xml !channel ID. Now this is the tricky part. This part stays the same every time. It is this part that's kind of tricky. YouTube, it doesn't give you like a dedicated place where you can say RSS feeds, let's go. So what you need to do is go to your content creator and you want to do view page resource or something like that. And then from there, you're going to do Control F and you want to type channel ID. So with that channel ID, it'll show you something like this. It's really finicky, but it is what it is. You get this channel ID, and this is what you need. Then you can also tag it. I don't really use tags. I mostly just use it visually for myself. So now that you have this, you can just put one here, and then you can start playing with it. You'll see that item here. Like DistroTube, I see here in my RSS feeds, see? Or you can even copy my channel ID to test. So then from there, you see it here, right? You see the description, you see all the details, but how do you actually play the video? So this is where Newsboat's extensibility comes in. So you can link programs to Newsboat. So we can use programs such as a video player, my choice is MPV, and we can play YouTube videos. What you need to do is have a config file. So in any text editor, create those config URLs. I forgot to mention that. You have your config file, and in here, let me just go through all these. So you can set bind keys. I set mine to Vim, because I really like Vim. You can do reload. It doesn't really do anything, but I just like to have it in case. So now macros. So you set it up that comma for macro and then plus your key that you set up. Then you want, so what Newsboat works is usually you'll open a link in a web browser. A web browser can open up pretty much anything. But we want to open it not in the web browser. We want to try and escape YouTube. Going to the website, we can set a macro to set the browser. Instead of your browser that you set here, mine was Brave, you can set it to MPV or any other video player. So I do set sid -f, that's like for tiling, and it will remember sizing that you set it. Then I do open in browser, so it opens the video link in MPV, and then it sets the browser back to your set browser over here, which for me was Brave. One thing that you definitely want to be aware of is YouTube is constantly changing how you can play a a video link. You definitely want to have your apps up to date, otherwise it will not work. Then from there, you want to have other, so let's test this out. So if I were to go to Newsboat and I do Command V, it takes a bit of time here to fetch it. Do anything and other stuff. But if you can use a video player, you can connect a video player. What you could also do is connect any other program. Like a good program that a lot of people use is YouTube DL for downloading YouTube videos and other sites you can download using YouTube DL. So let's close this. And if you go to our config, I also have another macro set called macro D. So macro D, it's again set browser, and so I do a command. All these commands, if you're curious how to use them, you can just use the man page and you can figure out a lot of stuff and basically do anything with Newsboat. So I did YouTube DL -- add metadata -o for output, and then I write what I want the video file to be named, and it's where I want it to be put. And then I do open in browser, so it downloads the video using YouTube DL instead of Brave, and it sets the browser back to Brave, the browser that I set. So let's test this out in action. Let's go here, let's do Command D. This one it does pretty fast. And now if I were to test out here, I go to CD videos, and then I go to LS, and I do, there are other videos I download, I do MPV, and it plays. So There's one more thing that I've set up, and it's really useful. I don't use it that often, and that's in order to see comments. So I'm using YouTube Viewer. There are plenty of applications that can scroll through YouTube. So I'm using YouTube Viewer, you macro C, set browser, and I do YouTube Viewer command called YouTube Viewer -- comments equal %u. So this is a comments macro, so it should print out the comments. So let's test this out. Go back to Newsboat, let's do command C, and it should, in my terminal, print out all the comments. And you can set up so you need to set up the API key, but you can make your own comments from here and basically not use YouTube at all. But I don't really use comment section that much when I'm scrolling through YouTube. But that might be useful for you. So that wraps it up. I'll put the config file in the description of the video for you guys to check out. If you need any help in the comments, I can try helping you, but a lot of it's pretty simple. I think that more people should be using RSS feeds because they're extremely useful, and YouTube is just becoming kind of evil these days. So that was it. Bye bye. I hope that you enjoyed